This week on NintenDomain.
Hadouken! Yeah, you can.
Welcome to NintenDomain, episode 72. We are your hosts. I'm Trey, exaggerated flat top Johnson.
And I'm Jeremy, shock you in the corner, Mikowski.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Kick to the knee, Mikowski, from old Blanca. Or Jimmy,
old
as we
Tanya
call him.
Hardin Mikowski.
Is the old Jimmy. That was his name, right? He was Jimmy in Blanca.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think that was his story. He was like dropped out of an airplane when he was a kid or something like that.
And then he got a crazy tattoo on his skin and now he's green.
Yeah. There's actually a joke about that in Killer Instinct. If you ever like put in the code to play as Idol and beat the game with Idol, he has an ending similar to Blanca, which is pretty funny. Like where like his parents find him and they're like, "Billy, we lost you." You know, like Billy Idol. It's like the idea, and he ends up killing his parents. That's what happens because he's like not really Billy. But yeah, there's like a parody in there, which is pretty cool. Anyway, this is NintenDomain episode 72. I think I said that already, but it's good to hear things twice. Let's talk about the news for a while. There's some stuff that happened. Oh yeah, let's talk about the ARMS test punch. We played that last week on
one
Friday.
of the bigger things from the week.
Yeah. How many times did you play? I was only able to do it once. I only did the 1 p.m. one on Saturday, unfortunately.
Oh, similarly, I've only played it 1 p.m. I think I saw you online. Of course, I couldn't match up with you, but
oh, okay.
Yeah, I was on the 1 p.m. one, and actually, my dumb self thought it started at 2 because I believe that's when the Splatoon test fire had started.
Oh yeah.
But so it's about 1:25, and I'm like, wait, was it 1? So I looked online and I'm like,
yeah.
Crap. So I got to my office where I have my Switch hooked up currently because I wanted to stand up and play it with motion controls, and I got it going, and I was able to play 2 matches before it disconnected me the first time, and then after that, it would disconnect as soon as I got connected to a match.
Oh yeah.
My theory being, hopefully, that my Switch was further away from my router than it was when I played Splatoon. Next time I do it, if there is a next time, in June, right? Sometime in June.
Oh no, it's this week. It's coming up actually. It's this weekend.
Okay.
Cause
well,
June
if I'm
is,
able to play it again on this Saturday, I'm going to play it in my living room right next to the modem.
Yeah, because June is today technically. It's June 1st right now.
It is technically June.
Yeah, but yeah, it's next weekend, and that's another news thing. But next weekend they're doing it again, and this time you can play basketball. Like the basketball mode will be on there, which is cool. So we get to try that out. Like this one had volleyball, which I really wasn't very good at either, and this one has basketball, and I think it has some of the target punching stuff too in there. That's what I heard. So they're adding some more extra stuff like for you to try out. But I definitely want to try basketball. That game looks really fun.
Yeah, it looks kind of unconventional.
Yeah. How did you fare against the masses and the ARMS? Actually, first off, how did you play it?
I played it motion controls.
You did?
And I was only able to play the versus mode with 3 people.
Oh, okay. You didn't do the volleyball? Like they didn't?
No.
Because it was all random. But I played volleyball probably like 3 times, I think.
Yeah, I never got to play volleyball.
Yeah, I feel like I got all of the stuff, and I made sure and used all of the characters too. Like I went down the line and tried all of them.
Very nice.
I basically went through and did the tutorial with motion controls, and I was like, this isn't for me. So I played the whole thing on the Pro Controller without motion controls, which I didn't. I like it better like that. Because my character was kind of like moving on its own, even when I'm like trying not to move, he's still moving. Like I ran into stuff like that, so I just nixed it like right off the bat and just went with just straight up, regular controls, and it's, worked better for me. I sucked at it. I think I won like 1 time.
Man, some of those people are really good already.
Yeah.
Or they're just better at fighting games in general, but that one versus one, whatever you call it, the three person.
Yeah, the 3-way or whatever.
It's crazy. Yeah. My best strategy was to get someone between me and the other person and then like kind of try to hit both of them.
Oh yeah.
But that's the same thing the other 2 people were trying to do. Yeah. So we were just kind of like wrestling over who could be on the outside, and sometimes I would like think I was going to be on the outside, then all of a sudden someone would grab me and I was not anymore.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of grabbing happening.
Yeah, what I noticed on it is I would be we'd both be like beating up on one guy. Like we'd both be hitting one guy and I'm like, wait, where's this other guy at? And then I like change my, like if, I don't know how it is on motion, but if you move the second analog stick, you can switch your view from one guy to another. So like I changed my target to the other guy and I saw his like life was full and I'm like, well shit, I'm going to go after him. So I would try to go after the other one. But I think like at least like 3 or 4 times, I think I died like mid throw. Like where I would grab somebody to throw them and they would punch me like while I'm throwing the other person. And I would get knocked out like there. Like while I was trying to throw somebody else.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's temporary invincibility or whatever while you're doing moves.
No, not at all, because I got knocked out like at least like 2 or 3 times with that, where I would get hit in the face like while I'm trying to throw somebody. Did you try all the guys? Did you do like Helix and Min Min and all them?
I played with Min Min and Helix. Helix is the hair guy, right?
Helix is the blob. Is the
oh no,
weird, like,
toothpaste hair man.
Oh, that's Ribbon Boy. Or yeah, Ribbon Boy, right? Yeah. Or no, Spring Boy. I don't remember.
Yes. I played with Spring Boy and with Min Min.
Yeah.
I tried playing with other characters and that's when it stopped connecting.
Oh, yeah. Because the first time when I tried getting connect to it at the very beginning, it said like unable to connect. So I was like, oh crap, maybe it's not going to work. But after that, it was fine. Like I just started into it again and then it kept connecting and it was fine. I didn't get thrown out after that. So, and if you hit did you try like any of the practice stuff? Because I think if you push like Y in between, like Y or X in between matches, you can like do some of the target stuff, break the targets type thing.
Yeah, I did the target, and all the target guys were the blob guy.
Yeah. Did you, you were already sold on the game, right? Did it like sway you one way or another to actually get to try it?
I think it's something I think I'm going to get it. I want to try it out. I like to jump on something before it blows up and try to be one of the first people to learn how to play it, I guess.
Yeah. That's how I felt with Splatoon. Like I was like, I should get this early because I won't get my ass handed to me. And I was pretty good for a while there at the very beginning. Like when it first started, when everybody was trying to figure out what it was.
Yeah.
And
I have no doubt that I'm immediately going to be worse than most people. But it's still fun. And yes, I haven't tried it with the non-motion. Non-motion controls might be what I have to do at first. But I do think if you're going to play this 2-player in person, the motion controls are probably more fun.
Sure. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I've kind of like grown out of motion controls. I'm just not really into it anymore. And like just trying, like I said, I went through the tutorial and I played it for a while and I'm like, I don't know. I don't really like this. So all I did was I just exited out and went into the menu, like the regular Switch menu, and just went to window controllers and like, did like change grip and like just turned on the Pro Controller. And then I just used the Pro Controller and it just automatically switched to that when I was playing the regular game. So it was really easy to switch. I didn't have to like go into a menu or anything. I mean, you had to like just switch which controller was player one, but that's all I did. But I didn't try it. I didn't try it handheld. Like I played it all on the TV. So maybe next time I'll try some handheld stuff.
Likewise, I just had it on my TV.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to do it like we did at the test event.
Oh, sure. Yeah. And, did your arms get tired from swinging at the air? Or did it feel?
I don't think so. I don't think there was time for that to happen. I probably played a total of 10 to 15 minutes before I got booted repeatedly.
Oh, yeah, that sucks. I'm hoping it works better on this one coming up.
I am too.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I'm sure I'll try to get, like for me, I just kind of woke up. I didn't like set an alarm or anything. I just happened to wake up before 1 and I'm like, oh yeah, Splatoon. And then I actually, on Sunday, I read the time wrong and I was like all ready to play at 7 and it was 7 in the morning, not 7 at night. Because I thought there was a 7 at night one too, because there was one the day before. So I missed out on Sunday night. Or I thought there was going to be on Sunday night and it didn't happen. So that kind of bummed me out. But hopefully this weekend there'll be more stuff. But we're like getting real close to E3 because it's basically, was it like next episode would probably be like our E3 predictions and then it's full on E3 after that. So we only got like one more episode before we get into like whatever Battle Kingdom, whatever it's called, Mario Rabbids and all that stuff, which I'm sure we'll actually know about for sure at E3.
I think we're gonna learn some exciting stuff.
Yeah, it would be really funny if like that, if the Mario Rabbids thing was just this elaborate joke that just kept going and going and going, and it was never true. But I doubt that. I think it is an actual thing.
I think it's real, and I think it's Nintendo paying the piper.
Yeah.
They owe this one to Ubisoft.
Maybe. Or maybe they were just like, cause they're trying to make it sort of like the Wii again, with the motion control. They're like, Ubisoft's like, hey, remember those Rabbids guys? They were cool, right? Let's do some stuff with them. Like, okay.
I did see an internet comic on, I believe it was on the Switch subreddit today, and it was, Mario standing there and he's talking to Rayman. He's like, hey, I really think your last few games have been great. Your company has always been great to Nintendo. We should team up and do an adventure together. And Rayman's like, oh, that's great. I have really good platforming abilities. All of my characters are easily recognizable and would translate well to an RPG. And then Mario interrupts him. He's like, oh, sorry, man. I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to that guy. And it was the rabbit standing behind him.
And the rabbit behind him is just like, blah!
Yeah, he's just like, ooh, like drooling.
Yeah, he doesn't say anything. He's just like, rah, 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 whatever, just screams and pours wasabi in his mouth. That's like the only one of the, previews for the Rabbids game on Wii that I remember. There's a part where he gets like smashed by a sumo guy and like the rabbit guy just takes this like big tube of wasabi and just like squeezes it into his mouth to try to like make him forget the pain of being squished by a sumo person. It was really weird. It's like all those videos that are like, rabbits can't do this, they can't do that, but they can dance. Like those videos, if you remember those.
Yeah, the rabbits are they're weird, but they're weird in a hopefully popular way. It's kind of like what Ubisoft's hoping.
Sure. Yeah, and I did play that game. I mean, I played that Wii game. Whatever
I saw it today at
Raven Rabbids.
I went to a game store today, and I won't say that I considered buying it, but I did see it.
Oh, you considered buying it for a second, I'm sure. You were like,
is this worth?
Will this help me with Kingdom Battle?
A 5-second chuckle.
Yeah,
it was cheap. I think it was under $10.
The only thing I remember from that game is that there were some cool like light gun game type modes in there where you would like shoot them with toilet plungers and you'd like go, and it was like an on the rails like light gun thing, and you would just kind of shoot them, and I thought that was funny and fun to play. So that's the only thing I remember from that game. And I think I rented it and tried it out. Didn't end up not buying it because I didn't care, but I would have never thought that they'd come back around.
Sensor bar. I've been happy not to have to use it these past few months.
I mean, I like, I know I talked against like motion control and all that, but I do like motion aiming, like with a sensor bar. I still think that's cool. Like I'm not completely against that. But even though in multiple past episodes I've talked about like how I wasn't going to get Ultra Street Fighter 2, I still ended up buying that game after it came out just because I
knew you would.
Couldn't resist the hadoken. Well, I had some extra money and I was like, I can do it. And same thing, I wanted to like we were talking about earlier, I wanted to get online and like, pummel some people because I thought there might be some people on there that didn't know it that well. Which I was incorrect. There's some pretty good people on there. But I have won a couple times. Just not as much as I thought. But yeah, I wanted to play online and see where everybody was at. So I did end up getting it. But what was I getting at? Oh yeah, the way of the Hado. I played that for for less than a minute and I was like, okay, I don't need to play this anymore.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, I like the tilt aiming stuff for motion controls, but I think that's about it. I don't think we need any of the other stuff. And I like that. I understand, they're trying to push some of that stuff with the Switch to try to get that audience from the Wii, but it's really good that you don't have to do that. Is the best thing about it. That it's like set up. It's not set up like the Wii where you have to buy like the separate controller to have traditional controls. They're already on there. So at least they got that going.
Right. So they're making the gimmicky games very optional.
Yeah. I mean, but there's
just like 1-2 Switch that nobody bought.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 1-2 Switch is like more, is a gimmicky game that nobody bought. But something like ARMS, just saying like, you can play it without motion control. I think that's it's a step in the right direction. Giving people options.
And it doesn't alienate any members of the Nintendo audience that might.
Yeah, whoever wants to play it like that. Yeah. And it doesn't make you buy anything extra. You can play it like without motion with what the system comes with. You don't have to go out and get a separate controller for that. You just got to set it up differently. It's cool. I mean, I'm glad that there's that option, but for ARMS, I really want to play through the single player stuff is what I want to do. I want to play that for a while. Any fighting game that I get, I always want to just go through the arcade mode for a while, and just kind of get used to the characters before I start fighting people. And that's kind of what I've missed for ARMS, I think, for the test punch. I just need some time. I need to play the computer for a minute and figure out like what works and what doesn't.
Oh yeah, and getting used to the controls, like you said, that's the most important part. Because if you don't know how to control a game, you're more likely to give up on it. And I think it'd be better to step into a match fully confident that you can get all around on the field as you need to, and even if you can't win, at least you can navigate.
Yeah, there were some cool. There's some cool levels that I got to play though. Did you go to? There's that one like Japanese looking one that has like the stairs. I think we talked about it after the direct, but there's one that has like 3 levels with like stairs going down.
I did not get to play that. Played one that had pillars. I remember.
Well, there's the one that has like the pillars that look like there's like test subjects in there. That's like Helix's level, and you can like break them. They're like pillars made out of glass.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like those. It looked like they had some sort of like body in there or something like that. And I remember the one with the stairs. I don't know if you get to play were you able to play the ramen bowl? Was that on there?
No.
Okay. So there's still more stuff to see. Plus, they only showed like, what was it? There was only like maybe 6 characters on there out of the 10 of them, I think.
It was, I think you're right. It was very few.
Yeah, because it was like Spring Boy and Ribbon Girl and Mechanica and Min Min and Helix and the Mummy. So that's 6, I think. But I made sure and played it all of them. I tried doing the block thing with the Mummy, and I saw like some of my life coming back, but didn't come back quick enough, of course. But yeah, I tried to try out all the different weapons. Is there anything that like stuck out to you that you thought was your favorite of like all the different hands or like, gloves and shit?
I'm still partial to Min Min's like default dragon gloves. I know they're a little weird, but I still think they're really cool.
Yeah, it was that's the one that kind of spreads, right?
Yeah.
Like it'll like shoot and then it'll like kind of like spread around like a good amount of area, like the laser will that comes out of
it.
It
also kind of once it starts spitting fire, it remains stationary no matter how you move. So
okay. Yeah.
Continue aiming at the same spot.
I liked, who is it? I think it's probably Helix's, but I like the one that's like a shield, the Guardian, to kind of like, you throw it out and it only goes like halfway and it'll block. But if you push it again, it goes farther, which it took me a bit to figure that out. But once you figure it out, it's a really cool weapon to have.
Because you can block and then attack all in one go.
Yeah, but it's like 2 things. Like you can put it up and block with it, but if you punch again, it'll go and hit him also. So it's kind of like, it was a cool thing to have. Except don't use it for volleyball, because it didn't work that well for me on volleyball. But volleyball was a whole other thing. You didn't get to play it, but I was just having a really hard time getting that ball on the other side.
Was it 1-on-1 or was it 3 players again?
No, it was 2-on-2. I was playing 2-on-2 for volleyball, I think. Even though I think there might have been a 1-on-1 one too. But what I ran into is like your character's like constantly targeted on the volleyball. So when they hit the volleyball like really far back, you turn, your character turns to the left to where it's facing like away from the net. So you have to kind of jump around and try to find a way for your character to like hit it back towards the net. Cause it automatically, when it goes past you, it already has you pointing away from the net. So if you hit it, you're hitting it more into your side and not their side. So like that was the problem that I had with volleyball, was just trying to get it back to the other, to the other side of the thing, to actually get a point. And if you keep the ball in play for long enough, it turns into a bomb, and it'll end up like exploding on whatever side it's on, and then the other person will automatically get a point if it's not on their side. So that's kind of another thing, that it's like on a timer. And we only got up to like maybe like 3 or 4 points per side, so you didn't have a whole lot of time to play either. And once the timer went out, like whatever points you were at, you either got a draw or you lost. But I did get a couple draws. I got more draws than I got wins, so I guess that's better than just losing all the time. And I did play, I played the like 4-player all-out brawl, where it's like, there's 4 people but you're not on teams, like similar to the 3-player one. And that was kind of fun. It kind of reminded me of like the old wrestling games. Did you get to do any of the tag team stuff? Like the 2-on-2, like where you're tied together?
Nope. Everything that I did was, the only mode I ever played, and must have been random, was the battle mode with 3 people.
Oh, okay. Yeah, cause I did that for a while too, and I felt bad cause I failed my teammate every time. Never made it. And I was always hoping that like after I got knocked out, they would somehow prevail and I'd still win, but that didn't happen either. So I still didn't make it. But I mean, aside from that, I just need more practice, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. And, I'm hoping it works better next time for me and I get started earlier. Definitely by limiting the timing of each match, it's promoting a rapid fire, play a match. So sounds like you get a lot of the game in a short period of time.
Oh, sure.
In this demo. So that's kind of cool. It'll be fun to mess around with the basketball, and I guess I probably won't get to try volleyball until the retail version.
Yeah, I think they're switching them out, but I hope that basketball is going to be better than volleyball, because volleyball wasn't really, I was having a hard time with it, but who knows, I might have a hard time with basketball too. I just like the idea of it. I think it's a cool, creative thing.
ARMS comes out 2 weeks from this Friday.
Yeah, right? Yeah, cause there's I was hoping that they would do the demos right into the release, where it'd be like one ARMS test punch, another one, and then right after that it would come out. But I guess it's the 2 ARMS test punches, and then it's gonna release like right after E3 then, right? Pretty much? Yep. Yes, so then they can if they do that, then they can preview it a bit at E3, right? Cause that would be that weekend, because, E3 is like this, what is it, like the 11th? Yeah, it's the weekend, it's like the 12th, what's like the 12th through the 15th or 12th through the 14th.
It says 13th through 15th.
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's that week, regardless.
So it's immediately after, on the 16th.
So it'll be on the 16th. So yeah, they can try to build it up during E3 in hopes that people will buy it like right then. So, that's that.
Sure.
All right, cool. I saw that the guys who made I Am Setsuna, they announced that they're making a new game for the Switch coming out next year. Did you see that?
I did not.
It was actually on. I noticed that they had talked that they were going to do something, but they actually Square's Twitter. That's how I found it. I found it through Square's Twitter because I was just looking for like Fire Emblem Echoes, like hashtag that to see what it would bring up, and it came to that, to the hashtag Square, and it's called The Last Sphere, I think is what it's called. But it looks like another traditional RPG, but it's a Switch exclusive, so that's pretty rad.
So they must have liked the reception Setsuna got on the Switch.
Yeah.
Which I have nothing to do with.
Yeah, me either, because I didn't get it.
Maybe we'll see our first game sale at E3, or leading up to E3.
The Lost, or no. It's coming out on PlayStation 4, actually. It's not an exclusive, but it's cool that the Switch is included. It's coming out on PS4, Nintendo Switch, and Steam. But it's called Lost Sphere, is what it's called. And,
okay.
And like Square tweeted about it, yesterday. Said restore the world's memories in Lost Sphere, coming out in early 2018 on PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, and Steam. Hashtag
so it's
Tokyo
like
RPG Factory.
Katamari, but the RPG version.
I guess.
You're rolling a giant sphere around the world to restore things.
Oh, that would be interesting. I mean, there's a trailer on here for it.
Oh.
I didn't really watch. I mean, I watched enough to see that it's like, oh, there's a world map, and there's guys running around.
It's a map, and there's people in the map, and the map is also viewable from a menu.
Yeah. I'm looking at it right now. There's a whole lot of clouds around, a lot of emptiness, a lot of empty areas.
Because you gotta restore shit.
Yeah, for sure. But I saw like the isometric, it looks pretty clean. I'll try it out for sure. Hopefully it's not, well, it might be like $40 like I Am Setsuna, which I can't say anything because I got Street Fighter 2 for $40, but yeah, it looks cool. I was just wanting to watch the rest of it to see if there happened to be some sort of like lonely rolling star in here from Katamari. Got me intrigued. Now that you said that it was in there, but I'm seeing a whole lot of nothing. Basically, all I'm seeing is them just walk around dungeons, which is cool. I mean, dungeon crawlers are fun.
Yeah, this is exciting. So
Did you find it?
It's the creators of I Am Setsuna, but they're working for Square, or cool. Square's publishing it.
Yeah, I Am Setsuna is a Square game.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Graphically, it looks similar to I Am Setsuna, but the atmosphere is different.
Yeah. Yeah. So the trailer doesn't show. Just kind of shows them walking around doing a dungeon. There's a part where where the fog is lifted and you see like a town appear. So yeah, it's kind of like
looks kind of steampunky.
I wonder if it's like Dragon Quest VII where you have to like go back in time and get different parts of the map and bring the map to the future or to the present. That'd be cool.
Oh, and sphere spelled different.
Yeah, it's spelled with like here, like HEAR. Instead of ERE.
Maybe that's the name of the world.
Sphere? Maybe they're just being Japanese with their stuff. I don't know. Where they like to spell things wrong for the fun of it.
It's cool though. Yeah, I will try it out. I'm sure by the time this game comes out, I'll be wanting to play more RPGs. Yeah,
well, I mean, it'll be by the time it comes out, we will have already played. It says on another tweet, it says that Lost Sphere is a sequel to I Am Setsuna.
Okay.
But that's not straight from Square, so I don't know. That's from another person. Whereas other people say new title. So I don't know. It looks super cool. But yeah, it's the same. Nice to see another Square thing on there. What is the other one? Project Octopath Drifter. Like, when is that? Or Octopath Traveler. I want to hear more about that. Isn't that supposed to happen this year, or is that next year too?
Octopath Traveler.
You remember that?
That we haven't heard anything about it since January.
Yeah, that was when they showed that in there. And that was by the guys who did, it's another like weird Japanese title. I have the first
Bravely
one.
Default.
Bravely Default, yeah.
Well, like I'm sure we've said before, it seems like the Switch is really a friendly environment for JRPGs, so I say bring them on. Let's get more.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Let's load them up. Nothing better than taking your RPGs to go.
For sure.
And with the fact on the Switch, you can just press the button and it goes to sleep.
Oh yeah, you don't have to worry about saving and stuff, which is good.
As long as you don't have a cartridge in and it pops out while it's in your bag, because I've heard of that happening to people.
Yeah, well, I mean, it happens with the 3DS too, so that always freaks me out. The cartridge pad popping out on its own. I was gonna say, speaking of trailers, did you see the new trailer for Sonic Mania?
I didn't see there was a new trailer. I did see that the game's gonna be cheap.
Oh yeah, well, there's a release date in the trailer.
Okay.
So there's and it says that you can pre-order it now. I don't know if you can actually pre-order it on the Switch eShop.
Because there's a collector's edition.
Yeah, but there's it's looking like it's August. Looked like it was like towards the end of August, something like that.
I don't remember if it was last episode or the episode before, but we couldn't think of a game that was coming out in August. This is it.
Yeah.
This is the big game for August, probably.
Yeah, because we were trying to figure out what was filling in August because it's, because of ARMS and Splatoon from June and July.
So it's going to be Sonic.
I wish Splatoon was coming out before ARMS because I'm more excited for Splatoon 2 than ARMS because that's a game that I'll definitely play the crap out of, especially with that single player stuff that we saw.
But Nintendo's going to have a good thing going for them if, like, they get more people in with ARMS and then they say, well, if you like ARMS, try this other multiplayer game that's online.
Well, I think they
they'll get a bigger audience.
Yeah, I think they already have people from that. But yeah, it's August 15th is when Sonic Mania comes out.
For $20.
Yeah, which is good.
I'm happy with that price. That's the price a lot of stuff should be.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
You'd buy another Sonic game for $20, right? One that's not 3D.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
You can get it cheaper if you buy it through different sites online, but that's for like Steam.
Yeah. Even though I did see, I saw some non-Sonic stuff going on in Sonic Mania. If you watch the trailer, like Knuckles is climbing a wall in there. I don't know about that. That's stuff that happened in Sonic Adventure, and that was kind of the beginning of the end for Sonic.
Well, Knuckles climbed walls in Sonic and Knuckles.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he did. But that wasn't.
So they're just bringing that back.
Yeah, I mean that wasn't my favorite though.
Right. Well, they got to put a little nod to Knuckles, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just afraid. I don't want to. Sometimes you just want to run. You just want to run fast and not have to climb walls. That's all I'm saying.
Sometimes you just want to pile your cartridges up on top of each other so they're super mega Genesis.
Yeah. Well, maybe they'll come out with something that can go in the bottom of the Switch and become a different system. Like the 32X. That'd be a great thing to do.
A dock that's also a CD drive.
Yeah, right. 32X CD. Not portable anymore. You gotta put it in here. Let's see. What else do we have this week? Speaking of JRPG stuff, Dragon Quest X got a date for release in Japan.
In Japan.
Not in America yet, but still. Nintendo Switch, September 21st. I watched some footage of it. There was like a trailer that came out. It was all in Japanese, but about a half an hour into it, you can watch some of it. And when I first was looking at it, I thought it was like Dragon Quest XI, and I'm like, oh, this doesn't look like Dragon Quest XI, because it's all like real-time battle, and I'm like, this is weird. And then I was like, oh yeah, no, it's 10. Because there's like different versions that come with different upgrades, and you get more characters, and I'm like, oh, well that doesn't sound like a regular Dragon Quest game. But then I realized it was the MMO. I'm like, oh, okay.
So Dragon Quest X is the MMO?
Yeah, that's the MMO, which came out for Wii, Wii U, and now Switch in Japan. So this would be the third version of it. But supposedly it's good. I mean, I haven't played it, but people seem to like it. But yeah, it was on.
You said it was out for the DS?
No, it was out for the Wii.
Oh.
It was out for the Wii, the Wii U, and,
is it a pretend MMO or is it a true MMO?
I think it's a true MMO. I don't know. I haven't played it. I can't get it here. I mean, I don't speak Japanese and I haven't imported it, and I don't have a Japanese Wii or Wii U. But, I know that it's coming out. I know that it's going to come out to Switch, but there's still nothing saying that it's going to come out here. I'm sure it won't. But, if you can read Japanese, there's a site you can go to and try to apply for the beta, which I looked at, but I couldn't figure out what it was saying.
It looks cool.
Yeah, and that's after, the Dragon Quest XI comes out on the 29th of July on the 3DS and PS4. So.
Oh wow.
I'm still tempted to get an import of it for 3DS and just try to play it. Cause I don't know when it's gonna come out into America, and I kinda just wanna mess around with it. Cause it looks really cool. Like that graphics look really nice. We'll see how I feel in the end of July on that. Let's see, what's it, Shantae, Half Genie Hero, that comes out next week. That's like that release. I don't know what comes out tomorrow. Do you know? I thought maybe it was Rhyme, or is that coming out later? Because I think it's already out for PS4.
I'm not sure. Is it Voaz? No, that's an update to Voaz. That was a launch game, wasn't it?
Oh, Voaz is already out.
Yeah, no, that's not it.
I think Voaz came out like the second week or the third week, something like that.
I guess there's new DLC for Blaster Master.
Oh yeah,
much about that.
Yeah, I still haven't played all the way through that. Like I think I got to like the second part of it and got kind of lost. Couldn't find the next part. Platinum Games says that they're working on a Switch game. That's cool. People are still thinking it's like Bayonetta or Bayonetta 3, one of those. They've shown some of the playable characters from Fire Emblem on there. They showed like the twins from the first game, Xion and Lion. And Martha's on there, of course, and Chrome from Awakening. We're all confirmed as playable characters for Fire Emblem Warriors, the Dynasty Warriors type game. They showed some of the people for that, which I'm still kind of on the fence on that, but I'm sure it'll look great.
If I'm being, if this is legit, I found a place that says tomorrow we're supposed to get another SNK game.
Well, I figured that. I get one every week.
It's a 1992 shoot 'em up Last Resort. I don't know what that is.
Sounds about right.
And then a game called Astro Duel Deluxe that was originally released on Steam in 2015.
Oh.
It's kind of like Astro is.
Okay. Well,
if that ends up being that, then that's cool.
That sounds about right. I wonder
3DS gets Harvest Moon Skytree Village.
Oh, I didn't even know that was coming out.
And Wii U's getting Bonk's Revenge.
Oh yeah? Wii U? Oh yeah, well yeah, cause they did some of those. Did you see any of this Blasphemous game? Did you see that? There's a new trailer for that. There's another indie, and I guess it had a Kickstarter. There was a trailer for that showing, and that looks really cool. It's like a 2D game starring this guy with a giant, looks like he's wearing like a giant dome on his head, or a giant pyramid on his head, like a drill almost. And he's a giant sword. It's going through like 2D stuff, looks kind of Castlevania-y. There's like some spirits.
So you think it's like a Metroidvania?
I don't know, but it looks really good. Like the graphics are great. There's a whole lot.
Oh wow, he's creepy looking.
Yeah, he's like going around slashing people and all that. But it looks kind of like Castlevania. Is what I get the idea of it. But I don't know what the release date is on that. But I saw a trailer for it and I was like, oh yeah, I'll definitely check that game out.
Looks brutal.
Yeah,
that could be fun.
Yeah.
Maybe it's got combos or something?
Yeah, I don't know.
Kind of looks like it's melee-based combo driven.
I mean, it looks hard because it's showing this guy die like multiple times.
Yeah, this game looks great.
Yeah, right?
So is it funded? Is it happening or is it still in the...
Oh, I thought it was actually
yep,
happening.
the goal is achieved, it's saying right here.
Yeah. No, I don't think they'd be showing like a trailer if it wasn't fully there. I thought it had a date on it that it was coming out in a couple weeks.
On the Kickstarter page, it's saying on all the reward levels that it's November 2018. Or, I'm sorry. No, it says,
that's a long time from now.
It does say November of 2018. Wow. That's not soon.
Yeah. November of next year.
It says that the Kickstarter is going to continue collecting money until June 21st.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, there's a new trailer for it and it looks pretty sick.
It does. That would be awesome on Switch.
For sure. Yeah, no, I want to play it. It looks great.
Did you buy any games this week?
Did I? I did, of course. I bought the game I told you about, Ultra Street Fighter 2.
You sure did.
Yeah. Did you? You bought a couple things too, right?
Yeah, I bought a couple Game Boy Advance games.
For sure.
I got a Fire Emblem, Sacred Stones, because that's what it was kind of recommended to me last week to grab one of the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah. And we also said that is the easier one because there's a map in it. And you can kind of grind a little bit. Like the other one you can't grind. You just go from level to level. But in that one you can actually, there's guys you can engage with aside from just doing the regular missions. So you can kind of like grind a little bit in between.
Well, I'm enjoying it so far. I've only played past the first couple of levels, but it's cool.
What is, who's the guy in that one? Who's the main guy? Like, Elliewood?
Elohim or something like that.
Or Ephraim
or something like that.
Ephraim, yeah. Right? Or
something that sounded biblical.
I call him a frame. Like it's isn't it EPHRRAIM?
Yeah.
Like that? Yeah. Yeah, I played a little bit of that game. That was
a prince or something like that.
Yeah, I actually lost my save battery on that game, so I lost the saves for that.
Oh shit.
Yeah. And I actually wrote an article about that too, if you guys want to read.
It's a good article, I read it.
On WordPress, I wrote an article about losing game files because I deal with that a lot now with playing a lot of retro games. I mean, I lost I had a game card for the GameCube that had all of my saves on it, and that got corrupted, so I lost all of that like a couple of years ago, which sucks. And formatting hard drives and all that fun stuff. And of course, Super Nintendo games that have batteries that die and nothing saves and all that stuff. So I wrote an article about that.
The thing that I would add, I don't know if you mentioned it in your article, but one of the most annoying parts about losing your save data is if you're playing a game like Monkey Ball where you have to unlock the 2-player modes.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that.
That especially sucks because, maybe you're not looking to get back into that game. You're with a friend that also loves the multiplayer mode and you just want to boot it right up.
Yeah, you're right. I guess
that's rare, I think.
I
don't think there's a lot of games that are like that.
Well, I mean, when you said that, I just thought about, cause WarioWare Twisted does that too. Or, no, WarioWare Smooth Moves does that too. You have to beat the game before you get the multiplayer. So, which I ran into that because whenever you're like, I'm just gonna bring the disc over to a friend's house and we'll play some 2-player. I'm like, oh wait, you don't get 2-player until you beat the game. Thankfully, it doesn't take very long to beat the game on that. You can probably beat it in like 30 minutes, so you can go through it. But yeah, that's what it reminded me of, that type of thing, where you gotta like go through and unlock all the extra stuff.
But I actually wrote an article. I haven't finished editing it, so I should say I'm working on an article about the other stuff I found today, though. I found some hardware when I bought my games.
What is that?
I bought 4 more Game Boy Advance SPs.
4? All in one thing?
Yeah, just one purchase of 4 of them.
Jeez. Do they all work, or do they all have like stuff do they all have like chargers that are broken or game slots
they all work.
that aren't there?
They're all perfect. One of them's a little bit scratched on the outside part, but that's not a big deal to me. But they're all the AGS 101s, and I got them for less than the internet would give them to me, so I like that. So
So how much were they for all 4 of them?
It was 40 each.
Oh, okay.
And they came with chargers.
Oh, wow. So you had to get you got all of them together. So that's like what, 160 for all of it?
Yeah, I was shocked they had them. This is the same place I found the NES Classic. Like, I went in and usually they might have 1 or 2 SPs sitting in that case, but today there was a ton of them, and almost all of them were the good ones. So I just got really lucky.
Well, you got some SPs there. How many do you have now?
It's a project that I like to do, custom building like cases or whatever. So I already switched out the guts of my NES edition. That was my first SP that I bought.
Yeah.
I switched it out with the brighter screen tonight, and it's awesome.
Oh yeah, I bet. That's definitely coul.
So my first Game Boy SP got upgraded today. It's probably the most exciting part of all to me.
For sure. Yeah, I did a little video, it's like a 15-minute video of me playing Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo Revival on Game Boy Advance that I put up on YouTube earlier. So check that out. I was gonna try to do a couple of Street Fighter and like related ones. I was gonna like do a playthrough of like Capcom vs SNK 2 and maybe like Street Fighter Alpha 3 for Game Boy Advance also, because those are like 3 of my favorites that are on Nintendo consoles.
And they remind us how great the Game Boy Advance is.
Well, yeah. Well, Capcom vs. SNK is a GameCube game, but the fact that Street Fighter Alpha 3 was on Game Boy Advance was pretty awesome. Like, that kind of blew my mind, because at the time I thought that was like my favorite Street Fighter game of all time. And you could only get it on PlayStation, and all of a sudden it came out on Game Boy Advance, and it looks great. So I was very excited about that.
Otherwise, I did buy Disgaea 5, so I've also been playing that.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I had to start it all over again, like we thought I probably would have to.
Yeah, that's okay though. I mean, if you didn't put a whole lot into it.
One thing that's cool though, since it's like a Game of the Year edition or what, that's not what they call it. They call it the Complete Edition, I think. It comes with a bunch of bonuses, and I actually consulted Colin about this one. It'll give you 1 million money. I can't remember what they're called. Whatever the units of money are in the game. Yeah. It'll give you 1 million of them from the get-go if you choose to accept that. So I got a hold of Colin. I was like, Colin, am I ruining the game for myself by taking this money?
By getting money?
He's like, nope, take the money.
No.
So he said that there's no like major economy thing going on in the game. Like, I guess probably meaning there's not a point where you have to have a bunch of money to buy the best weapon or something like that. But maybe I'll regret it. Maybe it'll make the game too easy, but I took the money.
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe 1 million of whatever is not that much in that game, and you get 1 million
exactly.
like playing through a regular level or something like that. Some games are like that, where you get a lot of money quickly.
It just exponentially increases as you get further in the game.
And you really need like 500 million to get something or something like that. I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, maybe it's not even enough to buy like the kind of potion I'm going to need later.
Yeah, probably not.
But still, it's kind of a cool little bonus. And there's a lot of other bonuses. It lets you add extra classes of characters to that you can add to your team. You still have to pay for them, but it adds them to the menu. And then there's actually like characters from past Disgaea games that you can just get, which I haven't done, but I imagine there's a limit to your total roster you can have, and I think you can only deploy 10 people at a time in a battle. So they do put limits on it, but as far as I can tell so far, you can have way more than 10 people in your roster to choose from.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of cool.
Can you use them? I mean, well, you can't use all of them at once, though, I'm sure, on the actual levels.
Nope. So you just have to choose, like, accordingly what you think you're facing. Try to smartly get the 10 that are the best from your inventory. It's kind of like an inventory of people, whatever, your roster. Okay. But it's fun, and I've played that. I got further than I had in the demo because I finally did beat. I finally got to go past the original part, now, which turns out that was the first chapter of the game in the demo. Because then I'm on chapter 2 or whatever they want to call it, and now I've got that red Magnus guy in my party, and I can use him in battle. And the battle difficulty ramped up pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, I bet for sure. Yeah, we'll have to do some updates on that as you play through it more.
Will do.
Yeah. Well, do you want?
So I also bought Fire Emblem, so now I've got 2 games to play that are like that.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you don't burn yourself out too much on that type of game by playing 2 games that are similar to each other. That's kind of what happened to me with the Disgaea demo. Cause I was already really deep into Fire Emblem Echoes, so I just couldn't really get into another game that was like that at that time. So I'll have to wait till later to get into that, which I'm still plugging away on that game as well, on Fire Emblem Echoes. I got to where the 2 protagonists met each other, so that was the chapter after where I was on last week's. But, do you want to take a break here and we'll, come back and get to our topic?
Sounds good, man.
Alright, cool. Against better judgment, I decided to buy Ultra Street Fighter 2 this week, just because I can't. It's hard for there to be a Street Fighter out there that I don't own, I guess, apparently. Just like how you were mentioning about the multiple Game Boys that you have. It's a similar thing. Like if I know that there's one out there that I have a way to play it on, I definitely get it. I might own Street Fighter 5 even, and I don't even like that game very much, but I have it. I bought it for cheap. I would have bought it for $20. But that game's a whole other beast in itself.
It sure is.
We need to talk about that game, which that's a strange game. But aside from that, Nintendo got their first Street Fighter game in a while, I guess. Their first new Street Fighter game on the Switch last Friday. And it's pretty good. I've been playing it, I've been playing online, I've been playing with some people. I tried the different modes. The HD mode looks alright, but I like the HD original sprites better, so I've just been doing that. I like the color edits really cool. I made a Mr. Negative version of Violent Ken. Mr. Negative is a character from the Spider-Man comic. He's just a guy that's everything's backwards. It's what should be a shadow is white and what isn't is black or whatever. I made a character that kind of looks like him of Violent Ken that I use online. I made a Zangief that has green skin and purple pants like the Hulk, and I made a purple skinned Ryu. Cause you can change the skin, the skin color and the color of what they're wearing and what their belt or their headband is or whatever. So you can kind of switch it around and you can make it completely white, take all the color out of it, or you can make it completely dark. So it's fun. If you want to go through there and make different guys, so you can do that. I know one of the guys from IGN was saying he just went in there and made all the characters Latino because they weren't, they don't have any of that. But,
they don't.
And then another weird thing about that, I actually watched a video about a guy talking about how, asking why Violent Ken and Evil Ryu have darker skin than regular Ken.
Oh.
Doesn't really make any sense because they're actually not different people. They're just possessed by a different thing. So their skin actually shouldn't be a different color. I don't know. Some, sort of a little, racist thing, but Street Fighter 2's never been racist before, right?
No,
I mean,
they're
not definitely generalized about a lot of things in that game. But yeah, just playing Ultra Street Fighter 2, I figured that this week we'd talk about, as I said on the radio episode, the classicest of the classic fighting games, Street Fighter 2, which is probably, probably considered the best fighting game by a lot of people. I mean, I like it. I have multiple versions of it, but I figured let's just talk about our first experiences with Street Fighter 2.
It's definitely what I think of when I think of a fighting game. It's the first game that pops to mind.
Yeah. What was, when did you first play it and what did you first play it on?
I played this the first time on the arcade. Must have been back in 92 or 93. So a long ass time ago. I was 8 or 9. My dad actually really enjoyed this game, so I spent a lot of time watching him play at the arcade in the Danville Mall that was next door to the movie theater.
Oh, okay.
My dad also worked at the movie theater later on in life. I don't think he did at the time, but He worked at the movie theater at different times of his life. He'd like leave and do something else for a while, then come back, whatever. But there was this great arcade next door to the theater for years and years. I think it shut down in '94, but it was there for a good chunk of the '80s and the beginning part of the '90s. So that was the only place in Danville that really had arcades. And Street Fighter 2 was like one of the showpieces for a while. And this was the original Street Fighter 2. This wasn't Turbo or any of the upgraded versions.
Well,
World Fighter or whatever it's called.
Yeah, well, the first Super Nintendo one was called Street Fighter 2 World Warrior. Like, I know that. But the arcades differ. I don't know if the arcade was called World Warrior, if it was just called Street Fighter 2, the very first one. Because there was Champion Edition arcade game, which the Sega Genesis was called Champion Edition, was the one after that. But on Super Nintendo, it was called Turbo.
Yeah.
The Street Fighter 2 Turbo. So, but yeah, I didn't, I played mine first on Super Nintendo, and then I played it in the arcade later. But I remember actually reading, Nintendo Power, and there was a poster of Street Fighter 2 that I like cut up and put on my wall because I didn't know who the characters were, and I kind of like made a collage of them like talking to each other, like sort of making fun of the game, like because I had never played it. And then I played it later, and I was like, oh wow, this game's great. But like the first, I remember like not even doing moves, like when I first started playing it. Like I didn't do any of the super moves. I would mostly just do throws. Like just walk up to them and hit the button and do the throw because they took out. And that was how I beat most guys. And
I was a thrower and a tripper.
Yeah, and I would play as Dalsim and E Honda and Blanca were like my guys that I would play as. Well, because Blanca and E Honda had moves that are really easy to do, because you just tap the one button, you know? And there weren't involving rolls or anything like that, which I didn't even learn how to do rolls until later, like how to get into like Ryu and all that, which is a funny story about that. The reason I learned how to do that was because I rented World Heroes, the SNK game, for Super Nintendo, and it came with an instruction booklet that explained to you how to do roll moves. And that was how I learned how to do them, was through playing those games. So then I tried it later on the Street Fighter and it all clicked. But no, I read through the booklet for World Heroes because it showed all the moves of all the different characters. And it explained, like I remember reading it, it says like hold down and then move your thumb up to right to do it. And I didn't understand, you know, just from looking like, if you imagine just looking at a book, just an instruction booklet that shows down, forward, and then a button, you know, I didn't understand what that meant. You know, and I was completely confused by it because I'd never seen anything like that before, you know, when I was a kid. But, yeah, and the one booklet of World Heroes explained how to do it, and I finally figured out how to do it. And I was like playing as the two, because they have two characters that are pretty much Ken and Ryu in there, and I was just basically playing as them, and then I started playing as like Ken and Ryu and the other one, who I called Ryu back then, but,
yeah, I called Ryu also.
But, well, once I started watching the Japanese movie, the anime Street Fighter 2, I started calling Ryu, because he's called Ryu in that. And also the characters are all switched around, which I'm sure I've mentioned. If you watch the Japanese version, they are. But that's, yeah, we can get into that in a minute. But yeah, that was my first playing experience, was playing, the very first Street Fighter 2 World Warrior. And I remember like playing them as they came out. Like I feel like right when I started playing World Warrior was just right before Turbo came out. Because I feel like Turbo came out like a couple weeks after I started playing that first one.
Yeah, so I remember we rented this right after it came out on the Super Nintendo because, you know, I remember my dad, you know, showing me the hadoken on the arcade mode. He had heard how to do it from someone else.
Yeah.
That showed him how to do it. So I learned how to do it on the arcade stick first, the actual arcade stick. So it was kind of weird translating that to a D-pad, I will say.
Oh,
but
for sure.
I figured it out after a while, and I remember we rented this game, and while we had it, my cousins came over to hang out, and my aunt and uncle and stuff. And this game just stayed on for an entire day, I remember. It kept track of how many matches you'd played, and it maxed out at 99. Like, we just kept playing over and over and over and over and over again for hours, and everybody just kept switching out playing it. Like, everyone loved this game. And
didn't want to lose your count. Didn't want to lose your count, so you just kept it on there.
Well, I think it was just that it didn't get turned off because it was constantly being played among like 12 people. Like, we were switching in and out of, like, you know, when the adults weren't playing, the kids were playing, or the kids were playing the adults, or whatever. Like, maybe, you know, the kids were kicked off for a while and they would just play.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah, so this game got its rental money. It was worth its rental money. So not long, I mean, it couldn't have been more than a year later when Turbo came out. My dad surprised us with that game, and we were actually really surprised that it was Street Fighter 2 Turbo because it had just come out.
Yeah.
And we usually got our games used, you know, once they'd been out for at least a few months. But I remember, like, I heard about Street Fighter 2 Turbo. I'd seen it in the arcade, and my dad surprised us with it and we were thrilled about it. And so once again, we started playing the heck out of it and had the 4 extra characters, and you could make it quicker, and there are more stages. It was awesome.
For sure. Well, Turbo was the one where you got to play as the bad guys. Like that was the big deal for me. That was the
and it
first
was almost,
time.
Yeah, and it was almost like it was almost a legend that you could play as the bad guys, but I had seen in the arcade that you could.
Yeah, that was the first time, you could play as like Vega, Balrog, Sagat, and, Bison. And, I remember playing as Vega because, they had the like fence on the back of his level and he climbed it, like every time you played him in 2. And I was like, oh man, whenever if I get to play as him, like, I get to climb there, but it's not the same. You just jump off the wall now.
You jump to a spot, remain stationary, and then you can jump off.
Yeah, and there's 2 different, you can either do like the swipe move or you can do the grab, the like suplex as well from there. Which, if you're good enough, you just dragon punch through that whenever he comes down. But yeah,
I remember correctly, my first character that I played a lot was Chun-Li, just because of, like you had said with E Honda.
Oh, because of the quick kicks?
Yeah, and just do her flurry kick because it's the first move I figured out. And so I stuck to her for a while and then gravitated to Blanca. And Blanca is when I started to like get a little better at the game and learn a few more moves and try to work on more of a strategy than just kick or electroshock constantly.
Sure. Yeah, once I figured out how to do like the hold tap moves, like which I'd figured out from like Blanca and E Honda, and like once I figured that out and I started playing through all the characters, like Bison, he became my guy because you could kind of just like go back and forth with the Psycho Crusher from one side to another, and even if they blocked it, you could still like throw them like at the end of the Psycho Crusher. So that was like kind of my move that I used to dominate, through like through the arcade machine and like the regular game.
He had that, and I don't know if it was called a scissor kick. He had like a kick that he did too.
Yeah, the scissor kick.
It was also a charge move that was really cool.
Yeah, and he also had the one where he could stand on your head, which was the down up move, which I still have a hard time doing those moves. I still find those difficult to do. The hold down tap up. I can never get the timing right for it. But I play people online that are pretty good at it.
But Chun-Li could do a similar thing if you held down.
Oh yeah, the spin round kick.
Medium kick. And down, you could bounce off of their heads.
Yeah, I don't know what she says, but I always thought she said spin round kick when she flipped
spin
upside
round
down.
Kick.
Spin round kick.
Spinning bado kick.
Did you? I don't know if you remember. Like when Chun-Li got her hadoken. That was
that was Turbo, right?
Yeah, that was in Turbo. Like I thought it was super. I thought it was super for some reason, but I was playing that Japanese copy of the Turbo that I had the other night, and it's in there. Like the hadoken's in there, and I thought that was added after, but I guess I was wrong.
Yeah, that was exciting. It's called Kikoken when she does it. I'm just I happen to be looking at a picture of it right now.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
The other thing that was cool were the flaming moves. So like you could have a flaming Hadouken now or a flaming kick from different characters.
Oh, well, I mean, the flaming Hadoken was brought in Super.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought the flaming Hadoken was in Turbo.
I thought it was a glitch, or you could do it. Cause I did see a red Hadoken in there when I was playing it, but I didn't do it on purpose. But like I know like the flaming dragon punch of Ken's, that was brought in Super. That wasn't.
Yeah, you're right. Here it lists all the stuff that were new from the original. Ryukin can perform hurricane kick in midair. E Honda has an anti-aerial attack where he does the sumo smash or whatever. I think I know what that is.
And that's in Turbo, right?
Yeah. Blanca can do the rolling attack like upwards too.
Yeah, and I know that. Yeah, I know that you can do you can do the spin kick in midair on Turbo because I did that on the Japanese version also when I was playing it.
Chun-Li does the fireball, and then Zangief is something complicated. Well, he does a better version of another grab move that he does, and it makes him invulnerable while he's doing it.
Oh, the spinning pile driver? Because I don't think they added the
high-speed double lariat, or turbo spinning clothesline.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, there's a different version of that, because I think you hold all kicks, and you can do that. Because in Super, they added the running power bomb, and like the super suplex, or whatever that he does. Like, I kind of grew to love Zangief. I actually love playing as him now. Like once I figured out how to do the spinning pile driver.
Yeah, you did it.
That's a pretty awesome move. Event. I did do it. I did do it on you in the event. I'm always excited when I can pull that off.
I know, man. That's awesome. I don't know if I've successfully pulled that off even in practice. There is one other thing. Dalsum can teleport.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was doing that too, playing as him. I actually have an original Nintendo Power. I should have grabbed it like before we started recording, but I have an original Nintendo Power strategy guide for Street Fighter 2 Turbo, which I got when I was a kid, which is awesome. And at the bottom of in the bottom corner of the pages, like as you go through the guide, it has like a little flip book that shows like the characters doing moves in the bottom, which is pretty cool. Like I remember one of them is like Ryu shooting a Hadoken at Zangief. And Zangief doing the spinning lariat, like, through the Hadoken. Because he could do that now, like, where it doesn't hurt him. I don't know if you could do that in the first one or not, or in 2 or not, but you can in that one. And they're pointing that out.
It was added in Turbo on here.
Okay. And they did another, they showed like Chun-Li's Hadoken, or Kikoken, or whatever it is. And it was just like, did just little animations of the characters doing stuff. And I would just kind of just flip through that and watch it. And it had like Vega was on the cover. Like I thought he was really cool, before I knew that Vega was really Bison and all that. But but yeah, I remember having that strategy guide and I was like, I was thinking about digging it up and I completely forgot about it until just now. But I have to look at it and look at some of the stuff in there.
But just Street Fighter 2 in general. Definitely a game that pulls me all the way back to the early days of the Super Nintendo.
Yeah. Interesting thing that I noticed on the new Ultra Street Fighter 2. Like when it starts, it says like 30th anniversary of Street Fighter, and I'm like Street Fighter 2 isn't that old. That's actually 30th anniversary of Street Fighter 1 is what they mean.
Oh, the side-scrolling game.
Yeah, no, Street Fighter 1's a fighter. It's just not very good. Yeah, you can actually buy it on Wii. I have it. You can buy it.
Is it an NES game?
It was on TurboGrafx 16. It's called Fighting Street, but you can buy it through the eShop on the Wii U. Or through the Wii or whatever, and I bought it just because I wanted to play Street Fighter 1, and the whole game's on there. It's hard as balls and I can't beat it, but the red-headed Ryu is in there, and basically it's a fighting game. It doesn't, like, the Hadokens and stuff are kind of hard to do because it's an archaic fighting game, but it's a straight-up fighting game, and you play as Ryu. You don't pick a character when you start. You go through different guys. Sagat is the boss, because supposedly he gets his scar from that game. And the way to get Ken is like you do 2-player, and the second player is Ken. And if the second player beats the first player, then you go through the regular game as Ken. Is the way it works. But they're identical. Ken and Ryu. Ryu has red hair, Ken has blonde hair. The Ryu in there doesn't really look like the Ryu that you know now, but you can totally play the game on Virtual Console. It's called Fighting Street for some reason, but it's an actual, like, fairly good port of the original arcade game. So I bought that game when it came out just to play it, just because it's the first Street Fighter, because you rarely see it. I know that, like, we went to Galloping Ghost, it was there, but you rarely see an actual, like, arcade copy of it. So yeah, there's some trivia about Street Fighter 1 there. Wow. Came out in 87, so that's what the 30-year thing is, because I think Street Fighter 2 is 92, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So it's not quite at 30 yet. But yeah, that's for the very first Street Fighter. Which I think there's like one other guy from Street Fighter 1 that made it into Street Fighter Alpha later. Because Alpha was supposed to be like a prequel game. So some of the guys from, I think it's like Hadon might have been the guy, or Adon was the guy who was in there that made it through. But yeah, there's a couple guys from the first game that made it into later Street Fighter games.
Sagat made it. Oh, you thought there was one other person?
No, I'm talking about into the Alpha series, not the regular not the Street Fighter 2 series.
Oh, okay.
There were 2 guys from Street Fighter 1 that were in there.
Okay.
Which, Street Fighter Alpha 2, that was on Super Nintendo, which I ended up buying that, and I think I lost my cartridge. I don't think I have it anymore. I'm wondering how much that game is worth. But that was like the last Street Fighter game, pretty much, for Nintendo. Aside from, Virtual Console stuff, until now. Until the Ultra Street Fighter 2. Well, I mean, you got like Turbo Revival and Street Fighter Alpha 3 on Game Boy Advance, but I guess not including the Game Boy stuff. That was like the last console version.
With Cammy.
Yeah, Cammy was, do you want to talk about Super Street Fighter 2 then? Speaking of Cammy.
I know we got this game and we definitely owned it and played it, but we didn't get into it because, I mean, it was just an upgraded version of a game we'd already been playing for years. So I just don't remember getting into it as much.
Well, a lot of people say that Turbo's better than Super Street Fighter because of, like, balance, whatever they did in there. Yeah. So they kind of change the characters around every time they make a new version. I know some people kind of dislike the Ultra Street Fighter 2, the one that's out now for Switch, because of, like, balance issues and stuff like that.
Oh.
Which I haven't really noticed, aside from, like, Ryu and Ken being incredibly powerful in there. Which I noticed, noticed a major damage difference between moves between like Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo Revival and Ultra Street Fighter 2. The like damage is completely different, like between the characters. which I noticed. And the video that I made with it, I just kind of cranked up the damage so I could go through it quicker. But the way it's automatically, the default is pretty low for some of the characters compared to Ultra Street Fighter. But yeah, that was the only, like, I rented Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter 2 Turbo, like, almost like every weekend for like a long time. I was surprised I didn't figure out, like, if I would just like stop renting it, I could just buy it and not rent it, you know. I mean, I was like a teenager, I couldn't figure that out, but I just kept renting the game.
Well, and also when you had a lot less money, so
yeah, well, I didn't have like
immediate gratification versus having to wait to buy it.
Well, it was pretty hard for me to get $60. Like, I remember saving for like a month to buy like Killer Instinct or something like that, you know.
I never bought a new game as a child. I never had enough to do so.
I would just save some of my allowance because I didn't have a job yet or anything like that. So it's kind of like, you know, or like whatever, or save part of my paper route money or something like that, you know, or maybe I could buy like a game like around Christmas or something like that with extra like family money, you know. But yeah, I didn't even think about trying to save my money from renting it. I guess I wanted like the instant gratification, like you're saying. I'm just getting it. It looks like Street Fighter Alpha 2, Super Nintendo's selling for like 30 something. I just want to check it. But wow. Super Street Fighter 2 was the first. I mean, I remember I bought the cartridge later, a used copy of it. I think we bought it, like you were with me. I think I bought it from a GameStop somewhere when I was in college. But I bought that for a couple bucks, and that was the only one I owned for a while, which I ended up selling, unfortunately. But I got that one because I thought it was the best version or whatever. But a lot of people swear by Turbo that one's, you know, better because it does run a little bing better, I guess, because of like more characters or whatever. But yeah, Super Street Fighter 2, that was the one where they started bringing in new guys. They brought in DJ, Cammy, Fei Long, which I do like Fei Long. He's like my favorite of all of those.
Fei Long's cool.
And T-Hawk.
T-Hawk sucks.
Yeah. Which apparently some people have discovered that he has some value nowadays, is what I heard. Some people have been using him. I actually got beat by T-Hawk online. So they've balanced him out. Maybe they balanced him out or something like that. But he does have a Zangief type move that's like a full circle where he like grabs you by the head and kind of like spins you around and like drops you. I don't know if you remember that one. That was an interesting move of his. Yeah, I couldn't really figure him out. But I remember I played as DJ for a while, like when it came out, because he had like hold moves. And I used Fei Long because I like Fei Long because he had the flame kick, like the anti-air flame kick. And he also
had some really cool victory animations.
Well, yeah, if you do cause he had like the sliding punch thing, and if you do like three of them in a row, he like vibrates his pelvis or whatever. He's like, oh! Yeah. Yeah, and he does a lot of that vibrating stuff when he wins, and he has nunchucks with him, even though he doesn't use them, but he pulls them out. Like sometimes he's obviously Bruce Lee.
They're just celebration nunchucks.
Yeah, they gotta throw a Bruce Lee character in there, but that's basically what he is. I always thought there was a little, I didn't understand like what was going on with, M. Bison, which you want to talk about the different names of these guys? Because they're all different in Japan. Like, M. Bison is actually Mike Bison, which is the boxer, because he was named Mike Bison to be incorporated with Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
And from what I heard, it had to do with Mike Tyson, getting involved with some stuff that maybe they didn't really want to be a part of because, you know, he got arrested a couple times and rape charges, that type of thing. So they kind of rearranged them all around to where like, you know, Bison. So like in Japan, the guy that we know as Bison is called Vega. And the guy that we know as Vega is Balrog. And the guy that we know of as, Balrog is Bison. So you figure that out. They're all switched. I think
it's just like shifted in a circle.
Yeah, even though the only one that's the same.
Sagat's still Sagat.
Yeah, the Sagat's still the same. Which we used to call him Bob Saget when we played the game. Cause, you know, he's Bob Saget. He's got the same last name as, yeah. I like Sagat. He's a little tall and hard to move, but his uppercut can be pretty damaging if you can hit it all the way.
Yeah, and he's got that, thing he shoots that's almost like a sonic boom. But faster.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah, the tiger. Yeah, no, there's a high one and a low one. I'm sure you've seen, I mentioned it before, I'm sure you've seen the movie, right? The animated movie, the Japanese one.
I've not.
Oh, it's great. Like I'm surprised you haven't seen it. It's excellent. It's probably the best Street Fighter 2 movie there is that I've seen. I mean, I haven't seen granted, I haven't seen like Legends of Chun-Li, which was the last one they made. And I didn't see what was it? The one that had like Van Damme in it. I didn't see that one either. The live action one. So it's the only Street Fighter it's the only Street Fighter movie I've seen, but it's good. It's really good. It actually opens up with a fight between Ryu and Sagat, and it shows like him getting his chest split open and all that. And there's a really cool part where Vega attacks Chun-Li like in her bedroom, and she like kicks him out of a window and like almost dies during it. Like that whole fight scene is amazing. But yeah, there's a whole lot of great animation in it. You should totally see it if you haven't seen it. There's Violent Ken, the character Violent Ken from the new Ultra Street Fighter. He's from that movie. Like that character is the character of Ken who gets possessed by Bison at the end of the movie. So I always thought, I always wondered why there was an evil Ryu and not an evil Ken, because evil Ken was the one that was in that movie, and I was like, why didn't they do that? But apparently Violent Ken was already a character who was in Capcom vs. SNK 1, which I don't have, but I have 2. So he did exist already, but they just brought him back for this game in Ultra Street Fighter 2. But yeah, he's that character from that game, but from that movie. But everybody's in there, like you see like T-Hawk and DJ and Cammy. And Cammy's in there, and like Fei Long is in there. Like you see little pieces of all of the characters in the movie, and it's kind of like it's mostly about Ken and Ryu, obviously, and they're both, Ryu is on the path to try to find the best fighter and all that stuff. And there's the like Shadow Lu Corporation, which is like Bison's thing, is in there, and they're like searching for the best fighter too. And they kind of go through that, and you see like there's like a little Easter egg of Akuma, like in 1 second shot, and it's cool though. Like you see all the main characters, and there's a lot of awesome fights in it, and get to hear them all speak and all that. I get a kick out of it. There's some pretty funny lines in it, especially if you watch the dubbed version. But I don't think it's streaming anywhere. Interesting thing, like I bought a Street Fighter 2 Anniversary Edition for PlayStation 2. It came with that movie, like you could watch the movie through the game, and Street Fighter 3 as well. But the funny thing is, like, the version of that movie is edited. So, like, the blood, like, you don't see any of the blood or any of that from, like, the beginning part with Sagat, which is a shame. So if you get a hold of it, don't watch that version. Don't watch the Street Fighter 2 Anniversary PlayStation 2 version, because it's edited.
So it looks like this was the first one that had combos in it.
Super Street Fighter 2 did?
Or at least that kept track of your combos. I think combos existed, but because combos were becoming more of a staple in fighting games, I think, at this time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and in Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo Revival, they keep track of your combos. Like when you beat a guy, it shows like how many combos you did in that match. Or whatever. And there was also a Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo as well, which was like an arcade that had Akuma in it, but that didn't come to Super Nintendo, unfortunately, so we missed that one.
Could you like unlock Akuma somehow in Super Street Fighter 2?
I didn't think you could. Like I didn't get him. I know you can in Turbo Revival, but Turbo Revival is based on Turbo Revival is based on Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, because Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo also added the super move gauge in the bottom. So where everybody had like a super move. And then, from there, like Street Fighter 3 and Street Fighter Alpha, they all kind of got into using like super moves and stuff like that.
Yep. Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, he was a secret character.
Yeah. In Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. But that's not the Super Nintendo one.
It is not.
No. The Super Nintendo one is just 2.
So we never got Akuma Matata as a playable character on the SNES. But he was on the Game Boy.
Even though I think he's in the Street Fighter Alpha 2 though.
Yes.
Yeah, no, he's right on the front cover. He's in that one, which came out for Super Nintendo, which is a pretty impressive
oh, okay. Then we did get him.
Yeah. I mean, we got it, but just not in the Street Fighter 2 series, in the Alpha series. It was impressive that they got that game to work. Like, I remember buying it, around when it came out towards the very end of Super Nintendo. And it has like a couple second loading time at the beginning, and you can actually get it on 3DS. I bought it on 3DS, a virtual console, to play it. But there's a little bit of loading time at the very beginning there, but aside from that, it plays really smoothly.
Oh, it's like pixel perfect or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it looks good for what that, I don't want to say it's, well, I mean, the 3DS one is like the pixel perfect Super Nintendo one. But, the cartridge in itself, it emulates the arcade, as well as it can. But yeah, Street Fighter 2 has been a game that's followed me around forever, probably because it just keeps getting released for everything.
Now, if I got a copy of this Switch version, can we play online?
We should be able to. I mean, I've been playing people online since I got it. You mean like, can I directly look you up as a friend? Probably.
Cool. It's 40, right?
Yeah, it's 40.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like how much you want to. I did it also because I want to support Capcom, and
especially since they said they're gauging their support on this one game.
Yeah, so I bought it anyway, just because I want them to like re-release Street Fighter 3 and Street Fighter Alpha and all that stuff, which would be really, really cool if they did.
Oh yeah, it would, man.
Which they did it for PlayStation. PlayStation 3 had a Street Fighter 3 online game that was released. They could just re-release that. Just don't change anything. Just don't charge $40 for it. Yeah, I mean, I can create a lobby and stuff like that.
Cool.
And I know you can look like same region or whatever. I'm sure there's a way that we could just play online with it. Cause I've been playing people online, but I can make a lobby, and you can just find that. So ways to do it. And you can Way of the Hado all your way through.
Yeah, how's Way of the Hado?
I didn't like it. I played a little bit and wasn't into it. So I said earlier, I'm not really into the motion stuff, unfortunately.
Right.
But the rest of the game is solid because it's Street Fighter. It's fun. Everybody's, they all have their extra moves and all that stuff, and it's cool. I don't know when Dhalsim got his anti-air added. Was that in Super Street Fighter 2 or was that in like HD Remix or Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo?
I do not know.
Because now he blows flames into the air. There's like an extra move that he has that I noticed on this cause it was just fire and flame, and those are actually different now. Like the controls of them are different than they were on the original Turbo. That's what I noticed. But I guess probably because they were so similar and it was hard to do. Cause like one of them's like the Dragon Punch and one of them's like hadoken, so it's kind of easy to do one when you're trying to do the other. They just switch those around. But I don't know exactly when.
Yeah, I'm not sure, man.
Did you ever play Street Fighter 4 for 3DS?
I own it and I've played it a little bit.
I know it came through a bundle. Street Fighter 4 is a cool game.
I played it more on, I think it came out for the PlayStation 3.
Yeah, it was on PS3 and 360.
I played it on there when I was living with my last roommate.
Yeah.
He had it.
Yeah, it's a good game. I would like to see that re-released on Switch, which I don't know if that'll happen, but who knows? Like, I know that 5 is PS4 exclusive. That's fine because that game's weird. There's still no arcade mode on that game.
I played that
that's
one
a whole
little
other
bit
thing.
too, yeah. It's weird.
I mean, that kind of pissed me off that I bought it and there was no arcade mode. It's like, what? There's no single player? What?
Strictly 2-player.
Yeah, it's strange. It's strange to do that for me. I mean, I always like an arcade mode, like I said, to just play through it.
Well, apparently that's not what PlayStation fans are after.
That's not what Capcom wants to give you. But yeah, hopefully we'll see more of these games. I'm hoping to, like I said, I'm hoping to see like all the spin-offs of. It'd be great if they did like some Marvel vs. Capcom stuff, like a good re-release like Marvel vs. Capcom 2, like that was on PlayStation 3, or they had like a
360,
or they had like a Marvel vs. Capcom Origins game, which I had that had like Marvel Superheroes and Marvel vs. Capcom 1 on it. Any of those, I would take any of those from Capcom. Is there anything else you want to say about Street Fighter 2? I think we covered most of it, and we didn't really get into much of the spin-offs, but that's fine. There's so many of them. It's hard to hit on all of them.
Pretty much every system since. Wait, was there one on GameCube?
There was not a Street Fighter on GameCube, and there was not
every other Nintendo system's had one.
Well, there's
since
no
the Super NES.
I was gonna say there was nothing on 64.
Oh, okay,
There's
you're
no
right.
64 game. There was no Street Fighter. Like I said, as far as like consoles go, this is the first Street Fighter we've had since Street Fighter Alpha 2, like official Street Fighter. And then like I said, there were 2 on Game Boy. But if you're talking about like home consoles, this is the first one we've got since Super Nintendo. So that's a good thing, I guess. Cause,
you're back, baby.
Cause Game Boy Advance got 2, and then DS didn't get any, and then 3DS got 1. Got a 1 as a launch game. Believe it or not, which is crazy. Like that was like the one game I wanted to play when the 3DS came out. It's like, I don't need to play Nintendogs again. I want to see that Street Fighter 4 on there. But yeah, it's nice to see it around again. Hopefully they add some more stuff to it. And, Ryu showed up in Smash Brothers. Like that was kind of crazy. I didn't expect that to happen. He's like one of the last, DLC characters.
Is he ever going to be an amiibo?
He is. I have him.
Oh,
he's already an amiibo. Okay. I have the Ryu amiibo. They released.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, they released all the ones except for like Roy and Bayonetta, right? But those supposedly coming
when they announced Bayonetta for Switch.
Yeah, yeah, right. People keep saying that. Well, we said earlier that they thought it'd be on there.
It's a prediction.
Did you ever beat? I'm sure when you had this Street Fighter 2, did you ever beat it at a high enough level where you could see the endings?
Yeah.
What was your favorite ending out of all of them?
The only one I really remember is I remember Chun-Li's and M. Bison's. M. Bison's the whole world is like burning, right? Or like he's like a dictator or something at the end.
Yeah, M. Bison, actually all of the 4 boss guys, they all have a similar ending where like there's fire like all the way around the screen and there's guys marching like in the bottom. I think the words say different things, but they all 4 of them have like people marching and all that in the fire.
And Chun-Li she was avenging her father, right?
Yeah, she avenges her father and then she like goes to her father's gravestone. My favorite one is
I can't really remember many other ones.
My favorite one
the Blanca one, of course.
Well, Zangief, he goes and dances with like Gorbachev or something. He does like that Russian dance with the legs. And I know Ryu doesn't show up to the award ceremony and Ken like gets married, like his like girlfriend like finds him or whatever. And was it Guile? He like avenges Charlie, which Charlie showed up in Street Fighter Alpha also, and he's also in Street Fighter 5 now. And I forget what else, all the different ones. But yeah, those are always interesting.
Honda just gets into a spa or something.
Maybe.
He's just like sitting there with a couple of geishas or something.
Yeah, at one point I went through all of them. Like I think when they got re-released on Virtual Console on the Wii, I played through like all the different endings, and I bought like every one as it came out. But yeah, I always thought that was you'd have to play it on a certain difficulty to see the right ending. So I kind of struggled with that, when I was younger and I was good at it.
All right, no, he's not sitting with two girls. He's sitting with some other sumo wrestlers, and he's eating food.
Well, there you go. You were close on that one. Cool. Was there anything else you want to say, or do you want to call it a day on this one?
I think the round is over.
On episode 7-2. Yeah. Time out. Or time over. The round has ended.
And so, if I do get this game, I'm gonna be I'm gonna be Blanca, cause that seems to be the guy that I've gravitated towards.
Well, now you can play 2-player though. You can bring it to work and be like, hey, you want to play Street Fighter?
And then I'll back him in a corner and shock the shit out of him.
I always play as Blanca, so let's go. Yeah, we forgot about Blanca's ending. Jimmy, didn't we say that earlier? Yeah, we did.
He finds out his parents are dead or something.
No, yeah, he finds his parents and they call him, and they're like, he's our Jimmy, and they take him home because he like fell out of a plane and like landed in the Amazon somewhere and was like raised by wolves, and somehow his skin turned red or turned green. I don't know. I don't know how that happened, but
yeah, I don't either. Maybe he just ate too many plants and he got chlorophyll in his skin.
Yeah, maybe. For sure. All right, cool. Well, this has been episode 72. We're your hosts. I'm Trey Johnson.
I'm Jeremy Mikowski.
You could, check out our podcast on iTunes. Leave us a rating, please, and leave us a review. We have a YouTube site, YouTube/NintenDomain podcast. I put a video up there of Street Fighter 2 Turbo Revival on Game Boy Advance if you want to watch that. We also have a WordPress site. It's like NintenDomain blog. WordPress.com. I put up an article on that, and hopefully there'll be another one on there too. Check that out. You can check us out on Facebook or whatever. Search us on whatever podcasting you use, and you can email us at NintenDomainPodcast@gmail.com. And tune in next week as we do some start that E3 predictions, E3 hype train stuff.
It's going to be our second E3 episode, so
yeah,
get excited.
Party time. Yeah, please be excited for the next episode. All right, cool. We'll see you later.
See ya.
Shoryuken! 竜拳竜巻旋風脚